Nigeria's federal government, through the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, has signed a power purchase agreement with utility companies to distribute a total of about 250 megawatts across the country. A document obtained from NDPHC shows that the said power sale transactions have been signed since the inception of the Light Up Nigeria program, currently running under Vice President Shettima. Now, NDPHC said in the documents that the goal of the program was to sell the current capacity available and develop more, and that the power generation projects were all funded through the Excess Crude Account, properly appropriated for by the federal government and the states between 2005 and 2009. So this morning from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, I'm being joined by Kola, Kunle Olubiyo, who is the president, Nigerian Protection Network. Mr. Kola, it's nice to have you around.
Yeah, thank you. Kunle Olubiyo, President, Nigeria Consumer Protection Network. I was a member of the National Technical Investigative Panel on power system collapses and system stability in 2013, pre-privatization, and in 2020, August, I was a member of the Presidential Ad hoc Committee on Review of Electricity Tariff in Nigeria.
Okay, that's noted. And of course, we know that, as some people have said, that this particular collaborative project between the Nigerian government and the discos is laudable. It's what so many people have been yearning for. But then let's quickly look at the details. What specific measures or strategies have been implemented by the Niger Delta Power Holding Company to ensure the effective distribution of these megawatts of power across Nigeria, most especially as we see that there's a collaboration between the utility companies and the Nigerian government?
Thank you. Like you have said, the 250,000 megawatts is just a fraction of the total capacity, installed capacity. There is installed capacity of the national grid, like you know, is 13,000 megawatts. That's generation. Installed capacity of transmission is 8,000 megawatts. But basically at the downstream where you have the distribution, we have some limitation as per load utilization, which has kept the grid at 5,800 megawatts. Basically, it's not just the electricity sector. Some years ago, I think during the Obasanjo administration, it was conceived that we need to amplify those things that bring us together. That's why we have the national integrated rail line. You've seen that rail were designed from the northern corridor to south, and from the other side, northwest corridor to southwest corridor, northeast corridor through north central to south-south corridor. So that fundamentally the major enablers of growth are critical infrastructure like rail network. You get it right with rail network, telecom, and power sector. Coming down to power sector, during the Obasanjo administration, before Obasanjo administration, there was dearth of investment in the power sector. For about 20 years, there was practically no investment. And the grid system from my committee in 2013 shows that the grid was obsolete. Lot of you don't buy vehicle, you don't buy machines, you don't buy a grid that you don't invest in upgrading or capacity enhancement or even expanding the capacity. So National Integrated Power Program was conceived by federal government. For government in Nigeria is a major spender, the main spender in the economy. So government invested so much to raise the NIPP capacity to 5,000 megawatts. So as we speak today, government have a capacity in place of 5,000 megawatts under the NIPP, National Integrated Power Program or plans, which now have as the SPV, Niger Delta Power Holding Company, NDPHC. Within this 5,000 megawatts, we have several infrastructures, but majority of the energy that comes to grid, about 75% or thereabout, comes from the gas to power generation plants. And the issue of gas guarantee or gas guarantee of supply became an issue. So Niger Delta Power Holding Company had to enter into agreement with gas producers or gas suppliers. These are international oil and gas company, IOCs.
Okay.
They do on cash and carry basis. There's no sentiment whether it's Nigeria or not. We've signed JVC or JVA with them to sell for us and put in our foreign account. So in order to guarantee supply for this power plant, Niger Delta Power Holding Company entered into agreement with Aku Gas and several other gas producers or suppliers to guarantee supply. And this agreement came with sovereign guarantee, came with partiality guarantee.
Now, Kunle,
usually
so sorry to cut in at this point. I'd like you to just hold on your thoughts for a few seconds thereabouts. I want to also see how we can tie this NIPP to the Light Up Nigeria that is currently being driven by the current Vice President of Nigeria. But then we'll get into that after the short break. Just stay with us. We've been discussing the 250 megawatts PPA that was signed between the Nigerian government and Discos, and we have been talking to Kunle Kola Olubiyo, who is the president of Nigerian Protection Network, and he has been elaborating on the previous power initiatives that has been on board, that is the NIPP, and now the power purchase agreement, tying that also to the Light Up Nigeria that is currently being run by the country's vice president. So, Kunle, I'd like you to just continue with your elaboration on these particular initiatives signed between the Nigerian government and tied around what the vice president is administering over, that is the Light Up Nigeria, looking at the key objectives and the goals and how these will be achieved.
Thank you very much. I was just trying to create a preamble or background of where we're coming from. Like federal government in putting together this initiative, the primary essence is to guarantee supply, because pre-privatization, like I said earlier, there was serious, huge infrastructure gap across board. Talk about rail, inland waterway, and electricity sector. So federal government in raising the capacity of
Hello, Kunle, are you there?
If talking gigawatts of electricity, okay, that could generate as much as 5,000 megawatts of electricity. Federal government entered into agreement with through the NIPP as or NDPHC as an SPV, entered into agreement with gas producer to supply gas to the NIPP power plant. And with this agreement, the agreement that was put in place is what is tied to put call option agreement. That's PCOA, equally attached with
Hello, Kunle, are you there?
PRG, to ensure that there's guaranteed supply of are you there?
Of course, please.
The essence of it was to ensure that there's guaranteed supply of power supply. Having entered into agreement with gas supply company, the implication of take or pay is that the gas producer are giving us assurance that on a given day, once we are able to ramp up power or generate 2,000 megawatts capacity of energy, the gas will be readily made available. We've paid in excess of
Hello, Kunle. We seem to be having
3 to 5.
Okay. Now, Kunle, sorry, I think we seem to be having a bit of a glitch from your end. But then we understand what the rationale behind this power purchase agreement is. But then I'd like to just quickly find out from you, are there issues that may arise when it comes to the distribution of this power? Because we see that a lot has been committed in terms of gas, finance, logistics, and all that to ensuring that there's production and distribution of this energy to households that are in need of it. But then are there issues, are there challenges that may rise when it comes to the distribution of these 250 megawatts? That, of course, needs to be dealt with.
Of course, if you listen carefully to the preamble I stated earlier, the generation capacity, the generation plant has capacity to do 7,000 megawatts ready to peak. They have a stock capacity of 13,000 megawatts. The transmission can evacuate conveniently 8,000 megawatts. And now power cannot be stored. Power is usually generated, transmitted based on demand. So we have a tripod, generation at the upstream, at the midstream we have transmission. At the upstream we will have, between 2013 to date, we've been able to wrap up generation from 5,000 pre-privatization to 13,500. Transmission have been able to scale up their capacity from 5,000 to 8,000 that they can take on grid and push to the distribution company. But at the distribution level, we have challenges. The peak capacity of distribution as of today that have been celebrated, which is even a spike, is 5,800. And NIPP, the Niger Delta Power Holding Company power plants, can do 5,000 megawatts. And on a given day, averagely, the capacity of Niger, out of this 5,000, let us even say that, okay, 2,000 for a day. The load that's usually nominated or taken from Niger Delta Power Holding Company is about 300 to 700 megawatts on the average. So what do you do to the excess capacity of Niger Delta Power Holding Company? That is why federal government had to come with this eligible customer framework, so that stranded power on the grid, averagely on daily basis, we used to have about 2,000 to 5,000 megawatts of energy that are usually stranded, and Nigerians are only being fed with 5,800. And the low demand capacity of Nigeria is not less than 30,000 megawatts. So what federal government now said is that, okay, for you and I, who are R1, R2, R3, and what have you, who are classified into Band A, Band B, Band C, we are customers that are domestic or industrial, and we are usually within the threshold of net determined tariff. But for the industrial clusters, between the buyer and the sellers, the industrial clusters, they are willing to pay because the grid energy is base load. It has a higher capacity to pick the high load demand of the industries or the machineries. And so the industries in Ota, majority of them, they need stable power supply. So in this model now, what you are just talking about the 250 megawatts capacity, the Vice President went to Agbara, where you have majority of the industry. If you are talking about the Lagos-Ibadan corridor, lot of them in the last 13 years have been permanently on alternative source of energy, which you call the plant or generator. Because most of the production that they are doing, they cannot afford to have a blink. It's like carrying out an operation in the theater. You can't afford to have a blink of 5 minutes. The power must be uninterrupted. There must be no blink. And so most of this industry, in order to ensure or guarantee Nigeria global competitive index and make sure that we grow our industry, federal government has said, okay, this stranded power that we are paying for, I've told you earlier, whether we take those gas or not, we have made projection and demand that, look, give us capacity of 2,000 megawatts of gas daily. So if on our part we refuse, if the discos reject load, if the transmission did not evacuate, if we did not put those electricity capacity on grid, we will still pay for those gas. Because we have signed commitments like buying in dozen or buying in carton. It is cheaper, it guarantees supply. And so we have our bond, our guarantee, our PRG, all the collateralization or secularization that have been tied to it. If we decline or breach the contract, the companies, these IOCs, we just go to our foreign account and call for their funds. So what do we do? Now, what do we do to these capacities that have been stranded? These are the capacities that there are industries that between Niger Delta Power Holding gas-fired power plant, then you have the tripod, the transmission infrastructure in some places is needed.
Now, Kunle, sorry to cut in at this point. I know there's a lot on your mind that you're trying to spill out to help us understand the rationale behind this power purchase agreement, and of course what needs to be done in terms of power being generated and distribution, most especially for these companies that need to provide it. This is what we are going to do. We are going to revisit this particular topic in our subsequent shows right here on Business Edge, and definitely we will call on you to further discuss this. But then Kunle, Kola, Olubiyo, President Nigerian Network, thank you. Protection Network, thank you so much for your time on the show. We will definitely bring you back on.